Welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Here's your host, Laura Lewis.
Hello and welcome to the Health and Wellness Marketplace. I'm your host, Laura Lewis. What is the Marketplace? Well, the Marketplace is your one-stop shop for the best vitamins and supplements on the planet. And best of all, you don't even have to leave your home to get them. Throughout the course of the show, we'll provide you, the viewer, information on how to obtain the items featured in the Marketplace. And to learn more about the show and our guests, you may also visit our website at thehealthandwellnessmarketplace.com. Our guest today can be best described as an innovator in the natural health industry, using what he learned in college as an assistant project manager for Zapata Corporation. Richard Lentz has turned his once small fishery into a leader in the natural supplements field. Not content with the devices or processes available, Richard has designed and built the very machines that produce his high-quality products. Products that range from olive leaf throat spray to the one that started it all, Seagate's shark cartilage. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the founder and president of Seagate Fisheries, Richard Lentz. Thanks for being here, Richard.
Thank you, Laura, for inviting me.
Well, how are you today?
I survived another trip across country. The scary part is the airplane flight. Being on television, that's the easy part.
Yeah, I know, but you had a good flight coming in to Dallas, yes?
The very first time I didn't go through a thunderstorm coming to Dallas.
Very nice, because they can be wicked here in Texas, I know. Well, Richard, tell me about, let's start out with the microwavable shark fin soup.
That was almost by accident. We're going back now to the early stages of Seagate. We started up in 1981. Mm-hmm. I had just left Zapata Corporation. I was a project manager helping build plants for them in Costa Rica, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And they were grooming me to become a manager, and unfortunately they started divesting of their various companies and subsidiaries. So I decided to set up my own little plant in Mexico, right near where we had built a plant for them. And our very first consumer product was shark fin soup.
Shark fin soup. I mean, who would think, right? Well, why did you choose shark fin soup?
Well, we were processing shark meat for the local markets, and the shark fins were available from the fishermen, and we decided, well, let's make a finished product out of it rather than just drying it and selling it to the Chinese markets in Hong Kong. So, when you're making a finished product, you need to know it better than a Chinese cook. And we experimented, made soup, chicken soup, added the shark fins to it, made it in a microwave container, and that was our very first Seagate consumer product.
And didn't you say something about shark fin soup and Chinese weddings or something like that?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the way America is during Thanksgiving. You can't have a Thanksgiving meal without a turkey. Shark fin soup to the Chinese for New Year's and for weddings is the same. You can't have a legitimate dinner without shark fin soup.
I did not know. I did not know that. Now, you have some pictures today that you brought in relative to this process. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the first set of pictures we're going to show that's kind of the history of what we used to do when I was in Zapata Corporation. Those are purse seiners. Those are almost like small tuna boats, but we were fishing for anchovies in the Pacific Ocean south of San Diego. There's 5 boats in the picture. If you can see right in the middle of that ring is a net being let out behind the purse seiner. There's a black dot in the middle there. That's a school of anchovies, about 150 tons worth of anchovies.
Wow.
And we're circling the net around the fish, and there's the net already filled with fish that are going to be pumped on board the boat. That's a 100-ton purse seiner. That next picture there, now we're going to my plant where we're cleaning shark cartilages. Okay. That's a machine that we designed ourselves. Mm-hmm. The lady's holding a cartilage. We mechanically take the meat off with high-speed nylon brushes. Mm-hmm. And what we ended up having to do, because there is no such thing as a shark cartilage meat remover, we had to design and build most of the machines ourselves, and that was the very first machine. We went on to make, I think the next slide will show, we'll bring this up later in the show.
Sure, okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to talk more about all these interesting products you have today. We'll be right back. Okay, Richard, other than fishing, I understand you also do your own farming. And I understand that you also grow your own tomatoes and make a whole tomato product from tomato concentrate. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're pretty unusual in the health food industry because we do our own fishing, we do our own farming, and we supply the raw materials to our plant to do the freeze drying and processing into the finished supplements. I think we have a slide of our tomato farm. This was 2 years ago, our very first attempt at growing tomatoes, and we grew about 100 tons of tomatoes.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we didn't make the finished product because we destroyed it all learning how to freeze dry and concentrate the tomatoes. But that's part of the business of learning how to do it yourself. You have to, prepare for mistakes, experiment, and finally get it right.
Well, especially when you go from fishing to farming, too, right, on land.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Right.
And, the last thing for somebody that grew up in New York City expected was to be farming in Baja, California.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, this is very interesting. Now, relative to tomatoes, what exactly are the health benefits of them? Why would you end up wanting to grow so many tomatoes for your products?
Well, in the news there's been a lot of information about lycopene, and there's products out on the market that have just pure lycopene. They just use solvents to extract the lycopene, and I thought we could improve upon that because not only is lycopene a good antioxidant, and it's being used, almost all doctors are recommending for men that are in their 50s to take tomatoes or to eat a lot of ketchup or anything that has lycopene.
Ketchup's got a lot of sugar in it, though, right?
Yeah, I would stay away from it personally, but if you put tomatoes on your pizza, anything that has a red vegetable, you can even get lycopene out of watermelons. But we decided, let's do it right. Instead of using a solvent, let's grow our own tomatoes and make a whole tomato concentrate such that in our freeze drying we can make a 100-to-1 concentration. It takes 100 pounds of tomatoes to make 1 pound of concentrate, which equals 1 capsule.
Wow. Now, I think we have a picture of your plant, so let's take a look.
That
right
is,
here.
yeah, what you're seeing there is a press. That is a hydraulic press. We're doing the very first stage of pressing this clear, it's a sugary liquid out of the tomato, and there's tomatoes in there. You can see the little bit red around the screen.
Wow, yeah.
The next screen.
I mean, that's a big, too. That's really large.
Yeah, you can put about 1/4 of a ton of tomatoes in there.
Oh, my gosh. Now, what is this?
This is a freeze dryer. It's a rotary tank that we built ourselves, and it's all stainless steel. That gives you having a person in front of it gives you the dimensions.
Yeah.
It's 12 feet long, 6 feet tall, and sits on rollers, and it's attached to vacuum pumps, and we reduce the vacuum similar to the vacuum in outer space in order to freeze dry the tomatoes. And we also freeze dry broccoli and carrots and garlic and a variety of vegetables and shark cartilage. And we produce over 20 products in that plant. And all of them, we're kind of like the Florida orange juice people, where we can say we grew it ourselves or we caught it ourselves and we processed it, and if there's any problem with it, we've got no one else to blame but ourselves.
Right. Now I'll say again, it's lycopene, correct? Now, lycopene, there's a study that's been done, or several studies. Tell me a little bit about that, how you were involved, or what you know about that.
Yeah, well, in the health food industry, as a manufacturer, we can't make medical claims. So what I like to do is bring the science behind it and bring it as an actual slide and put it up on the screen. I think we have one study which we can put up, which was this was done by it was a Swiss study, Prostate Cancer Prevention Magazine. The prevention of prostate cancer is conceivable. A varied and balanced diet rich in lycopene, omega-3 fatty acids, selenium, vitamin E, and no smoking are without risks and are efficient. What they were trying to do is tell you that, this is in the prevention of prostate cancer. There's several things that you do. They're all diet related and also lifestyle related, such as stopping smoking.
Sure. Simple
things to do. Eat a lot of omega-3s. Fish products that are high in fats, like the sardines or anchovies. I tend to tell people stay away from the higher order predators like sharks. Even though we're a shark cartilage manufacturer, we don't have heavy metals in those, but you want to stay away from fish that have a lot of heavy metals in them.
Okay, and to conclude about that, lycopene is very protective, as well as all these other components against prostate cancer.
Yeah, I tend to jump around a lot because we do a lot of products, but yes, very protective. It's not a treatment for cancer, but as you get into your 50s, which I am now, I don't like to eat raw tomatoes, and we're not saying that this is a substitute for tomatoes.
Sure.
But everybody should eat the equivalent of 1 tomato a day. And what we're doing is concentrating those organic tomatoes that we grow into one tomato into 1 capsule, and take 1 capsule a day, or eat a tomato a day.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, you mentioned broccoli a little while ago in addition to some other things. What are some of the health benefits of eating broccoli? I know they're pretty vast.
Broccoli that was our second vegetable product that we grew on our organic farm. Broccoli has several uses. One is there is a chemical in the broccoli. It's a natural phytochemical called glucoraphanin.
Glucoraphanin, okay.
Which is the body's enzymes convert them into a substance called sulforaphane.
Okay.
Sulforaphane in your body actually kills the H. pylori bacteria in your stomach, which can cause stomach cancer.
Stomach cancer, and also they relate that to ulcers as well, don't they?
Ulcers, exactly.
Okay.
Now, broccoli and all cruciferous vegetables can kill the H. pylori bacteria. Broccoli is also one of these anti-cancer natural foods that people should take on a regular basis. But if you're like George Bush, you don't like to eat broccoli, or like the normal American diet, most Americans come home, the wife's working, the husband's working, there's just no time to prepare meals. And how many of us are going to eat 2 or 3 broccoli meals every week? It's very rare that people are going to sit down and steam broccoli.
Right.
So all we're doing is making it more convenient, not a substitute, but just for people that aren't able to eat broccoli every day. We have a 25-to-1 concentration. In that big freeze-drying tank,
right,
we reduce down 100 pounds of broccoli into of raw broccoli sprouts into 4 pounds of concentrate.
So did you do a special delivery to George Bush on the
I wish I could
package?
I wish I could get a hold of him. I think there's a study we also brought on broccoli.
Yeah, I'd love to know about that.
This one was was produced in March in 2006. Studies have revealed an inverse correlation between the intake of cruciferous vegetables and the risk of certain types of cancer. Sulforaphane, which I just mentioned, has received a great deal of interest due to its potent anti-tumor properties in carcinogen-treated animals.
Okay.
What they're doing is, we're not doing human studies, and Seagate doesn't do any studies at all. We don't do animal studies or anything. We're just a raw material producer and a producer of supplements. But what we do is we look out there in the internet, and there's a lot of great websites showing studies that are coming out by the government and by Swiss and by French pharmaceutical companies using natural herbs to try to treat cancer. We can't say that broccoli treats cancer, but we can refer to these articles that are coming out with excellent results. Now,
there are other plants that have antimicrobial agents against bacteria and other pathogens, like fungi. Is it fungi? Is that how you say it? Okay. And like the olive tree is one in particular. Tell me a little bit about the olive tree.
Well, that was our third product. We happen to have a lot of olive trees growing in the area where our farm is, and we harvest the leaves, and the olive tree actually goes back 2,000 years. Before there were 1940s, when pharmaceutical companies started making antibacterials and antifungals agents, mankind was using the olive tree, the olive bark, brewing teas out of it to kill bacteria and to do, basically then they were calling them family cures, self-cures. You could use actually almost any part of the olive tree, the olive oil, and it's extremely antimicrobial. Seagate now we use the olive leaf and olive oil in 10 of our products, and they're all products relating to killing microbes, killing bacteria.
Wow, fascinating. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Richard. We were talking about olives. We'll talk about that real quickly. I mean, it's just like we Americans seem to be waking up to, oh yeah, olives are good, the olive oil and that type of thing. And it's fascinating. No, it's been used for a couple thousand years. You have an olive, I believe, don't you have some sort of spray for the nose? Or I heard you talking about that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we went into not just making olive leaf extract, where we're just concentrating the powder from the olive leaf, but we've gone into making consumer-friendly products. We do olive leaf nasal spray, olive leaf throat spray.
Which would be protective. I mean, I heard someone talk about they put it in their nose before they get on an airplane. You do that, don't you?
I do that before every trip. I do that before I go into a hospital to visit somebody.
Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it?
The two most dangerous places in the world for getting germs are airplanes and hospitals. I do it protective. Also, if I'm starting to feel that I'm getting sick, if you hit it real hard with the olive leaf extract, the nasal spray, and the throat spray, you may not cut off the advance of the flu or the cold, but you're going to reduce the severity and the length of time that you have it.
I love that. I love that. We have a little surprise for you. We went into, we set our crew into a health food store in Dallas to see what customers had to say about your products. There were a couple of questions that shoppers wanted to ask. Here's the first.
How does taking concentrates compare with eating fresh vegetables?
Now, that's a good question. How does concentrates compare to eating veggies?
Excellent question. We always, we're not trying to sell concentrates in place of vegetables. We always say if you can get a good organic vegetable, eat that regularly. Take the concentrate when you're not able to do it because of either job, activity, travel, convenience.
I mean, nobody's busy, right?
Yeah, no,
I know. We're so busy, we don't have a chance to do that.
Well, in fact, one of our future products is going to be, now that we're doing so many tomatoes, broccoli, carrots, garlic, and marine protein concentrates, we're going to make a convenience packet that's actually a meal, which is getting to be a little bit into the future. But,
sure.
But yeah, we are experimenting with that right now, where how many of these capsules do you need to take in order to not feel hungry anymore? And that's what I do now for lunchtime, is taking these organic vegetable concentrates as substitutes for a meal. If you don't want to run out to that McDonald's and eat a hamburger, why not take something that's good for you?
Why not? I love that. I love that. Another shopper had a question. Let's take a look.
What does freeze-dried supplements mean?
I was going to ask that earlier. Freeze drying. What does that mean?
Freeze drying is just another way to dry it, but what we're doing is we're drying it directly from a frozen state. What we're doing is taking the water out of a vegetable or water out of a fish product, but we're taking it out under such low temperature conditions that and under a vacuum that we're evaporating the water directly from ice into a vapor without going through the liquid phase. That's what freeze drying is, and that's what they use in the pharmaceutical industries. And we found that that's the least harmful to the vegetables and the foods that we make, because we learned a long time ago nature made it right, and as long as we do our best job of concentrating, we're not going to destroy those phytonutrients. Okay,
now I have a question. We've heard of freeze drying. We've talked about that. How does that compare to sun drying?
Well, sun drying is more like roadkill.
Roadkill? Oh, that's nice. Now, why is that?
Believe this or not, when we first made our very first health food product, shark cartilage, we had competitors that were saying, ours is naturally sun-dried. And when you lay a food product out in the sun, first of all, it's only going to dry during those hours that the sun is out there.
Sure.
And that's going to be maybe, from 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun is the most direct and it's the warmest time of the day. Not only is the sun drying it, but the bacteria and the birds and the rats and everything else are feeding off of it.
Oh, gosh.
And you compare this now to a laboratory condition where you have stainless steel equipment in a vacuum where not even a bacteria can get at it, and you're drying it directly under aseptic conditions. But we had competitors that were laying shark cartilages out on the beach, and the FDA was finally putting this product category into automatic detention because the bacteria counts were 10 million plus per gram of products coming into the country.
Oh, my gosh.
That's why we call it roadkill.
Roadkill. I will never forget that. I will never forget you said that. And it makes sense. Freeze drying in stainless steel versus laying out in the sun, bacteria. And I love that you mentioned rodents and things like that. I'm never going to try sun-dried products again. Okay, first of all, your products are all organic. How important are organic versus non-organic?
Well, it's very important because we don't use any type of fertilizer other than natural. We're using the waste fish products from our fish processing to fertilize the ground. And we found that the plants are going to be a lot stronger by not absorbing chemicals. They're, the fungal problems and the insect problems that a lot of these farms do get, tomatoes that people are growing are going to be subject to fungus and stuff. If you just let the plant eat really good foods like we're trying to do, it's going to be much more resistant to insects. After all, nature has been growing these vegetables perfectly well for millions of years without the need of pesticides, and we don't have to use those on our plants. There's going to be a certain amount of loss. We figure maybe 5% that's going to be lost to insects, but on the whole, the plant's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to be a lot bigger. It's going to have much more higher levels of phytonutrients than stuff that's been laced with chemicals.
Yeah, I hate it when people debate me about that too, organic versus non-organic, and they say there's no difference and all that, but that makes perfect sense, that the plant is going to be stronger on its own versus being compromised. Just like human beings, our health is compromised by being exposed to chemicals. Same thing with plants. Okay, we've talked about broccoli and tomatoes, Richard. Tell me about your carrot products.
Carrots that was our very first farm product, and we got into this because there was a fellow that was a friend of mine that was he was against fungus, and he ate carrots all the time. And people think of carrots as just beta carotene, but there's actually 400 different carotenes in the carrot.
I didn't know that. 400 different carotenes in the carrot.
In carrot.
Wow.
And even though carrots have a very high level of sugar, it's hard to process them, but unless you were diabetic, it really doesn't seem to affect you, as if you were eating a candy bar and that glucose goes right into your system. One of the problems that we have with the carrot is when we freeze dry it, this liquid syrupy goop that comes out from the carrot comes up that big giant freeze dryer that you saw earlier in the show. But if you had to pick, and we were picking 4 vegetable products that would be the best ones, that were anti-cancer, antimicrobial. Carrot would be the 3rd one on my list behind broccoli and tomatoes.
I love it. I love it. We're saving the carrot, the poor little carrot. All these people are avoiding it, and it's so beneficial for you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Richard Lentz.
Do you sometimes feel like your life is surrounded by germs? Seagate's all-natural remedies can help protect you and your family and relieve these irritations. Seagate's remedies are safe, chemical-free, have no side effects, and do not require a prescription.
Oh my goodness, enough already.
Seagate olive leaf extract for extra immune support and prevention. Ask for Seagate in your local health food store or call toll-free and learn more about all of the products coming from Seagate's organic farming and fishing operations.
Okay, we only have a few minutes left. Can you tell us quickly about any new products you have coming out?
Well, what we're doing is using some of these same raw materials to not just make like shark liver oil in capsules, that's an old product. Now we're using it to make topical remedies. We're making a new diaper rash product for babies. We're also using it for making a rash product for incontinent adults.
Oh my gosh.
And it works. We've been experimenting. We've had a line of babies using it. In fact, not just the babies, the toddlers that are still in diapers will actually go back to their mother's bag and pick up the spray and bring it over to them because they like it so much.
Isn't that interesting? I love that. They have the instincts to take care of themselves.
Exactly. And then on the food side of it, we are working on a actual meal pack using a variety of our supplements so that people could take it on trips or take it to the office when they are hungry but they forgot to bring a sandwich and they don't want to order out some greasy hamburger. And, it's not going to be a complete substitute for a big hearty meal, but we've learned that we can reduce the hunger by about 90% for 3 hours so you can get through that that urge to run out and buy a hamburger.
The urge versus good stuff. I don't know.
There's one thing I want to bring up to the audience, and we have excellent literature. If you can call our office, we have great materials for free.
Well, that's all the time we have today on the show. If you'd like to learn more about Seagate and all of their amazing products they offer you, you can call them at 888-505-GATE, that's 4283, or visit their website at www.seagateproducts.com. Richard, thank you for stopping by the Health and Wellness Marketplace. And to all of you at home, thank you for visiting the market as well. We're open again tomorrow, the same time, same place, so be sure to tune in. And don't forget to tell your friends about us. I'm Laura Lewis. See you next time on the Health and Wellness Marketplace. Have a great day.